Hi, welcome back. Chakra 2, water. I'm so happy to be here with you again. We're going to jump in. So, I'm referencing Anodea Judith's Wheels of Life, um, and we're going to look at Chakra 2 today. So, we're looking at change. Um, the element is water, movement, pleasure, emotion, polarity, nurturance, sexuality, clairsentience. There is an opening meditation here, so I hope you will join me in this for just a few minutes here at the beginning. So go ahead and get comfortable. You could lie down for this one if you'd like. Just make yourself comfortable. If you want to stay seated, you can. I'm reading directly from the book for this meditation, and I hope you enjoy it. Getting comfortable, you could close your eyes if you'd like. And we'll begin. Quietly, you lie at peace, alive against the earth that is still, solid, unmoving. You are still, yet for every ebb and flow of breath, there is movement in your body. There is change. From inner to outer and outer to inner, the path between the worlds is woven through you, the path of change. As your chest rises, the breath moves through your nose, throat, and lungs. It ebbs and flows as evenly and gracefully as waves upon a shore. Back and forth, empty and full, in and out. Inside, your heart beats, your blood pulsates. A river of life connects each and every cell within you. Blood flows outward. Blood flows in toward the center again. Your cells expand and contract, ever reproducing, dying. Wiggle a finger back and forth. Impulses of nerves run down your arms. Your breathing continues in, out, in, out. Deep in your belly, you become aware of a warm glow of orange pulsing through your pelvis, through your abdomen, through your genitals. Pulsations of orange light move in rivulets down your legs, up again through your thighs, flowing through your belly and up through your back to nourish all of you. You are alive. You are a wave of motion. Nothing within you is truly still. Nothing around you is still. Everything is constantly changing at each and every moment. Every sound, every ray of light, every breath is an oscillation back and forth, constantly moving, swaying, flowing, a flow of constant change, changing every moment from the last. By the time you finish this meditation, both you and the world will be different. Within your body is a river of change. Find the subtle inner flows of movement and thought, moving up, down, around, and through. Find them and follow them. Allow them to gain momentum, removing obstacles by easing any tension you may find. Exaggerate their flow with outward movements. You could sway if you're seated in a chair, rocking back and forth, creating a rhythmic motion. Let the rhythm build until you feel like getting up. Get up if you'd like and move around, swaying on your feet, circling with your hips, bending your knees, always keeping the flow even and steady, remembering your roots below. You sway back and forth, up and down, in and out, expanding, yet ever returning to your core self once again. You move with the flow of water, sometimes slow like a great river, sometimes quickly like a spring stream, sometimes languishing like a quiet lake, and sometimes passionate like the waves of the sea. Raise an arm and imagine water flowing down through it. Feel the wet fluid run down your back. your legs, your toes. Think of the water as it flows from the sky, caressing the mountains, running in rivulets to its various pools. Imagine water raining down on you, caressing your body, running in rivulets down your pelvis and legs, down to soften the earth below. You are the rain as you fall effortlessly from heaven to earth. You are many droplets as your thoughts fall from your mind. In tiny movements, the tides within you grow and move, faster as they plunge downward, cascading over pinnacles of earth, then slowly as they slither serpentine across great valleys of your fertile fields, until, as one, you ebb and flow with the tides of the sea, pulled by the moon in its dance of dark and light. Your oceans, vast and deep, abound with life. Your passion reaches outward, spills onto the shore, and returns again with you. You drink in all the change around you, pulling its movement through you as your life ebbs and flows, in and out. You breathe. From the vast depths of ebb and flow, you reach, you touch, you find your body. Sensation flows into your hand across your skin, sensation known to none but you. Your hand moves across the curves of flesh and follows lines of movement. You sway to the sensuality of your touch. Inside you rise emotions, turning, flowing, bubbling. They reach and touch and rise, becoming movements, waves, change. The water flows within and without. You are alone, yet others are around you. They too ebb and flow, and change and touch and yearn. Your movements flow to join them, desiring to unite, to merge, to move towards something new. Your hands long to touch, to pull the oceans closer, to feel the flow of other tides mixing with your own. Your belly heaves, your sex awakes, you thirst for touch and reach beyond yourself. You find your other, different yet the same. Exploring, you begin to merge. The movements build within you, exalting you, expressing you, caressing you. Your passions swell in ocean waves to crash upon the shore and satisfy your needs. The waters ebb and flow, nurture, cleanse, and heal as they flow with each yearning, each movement, each breath. Ecstatic and uniting, you merge, complete within yourself, and completed once again within another. You dance and rise and fall and rest. You are water, the essence of all forms, yet formless. You are the point from which each direction flows, and you are the flow. You are the one that feels. You are the one that moves. You are the one that embraces the other. Shall we flow together and join our souls in this journey down the river of life? Shall we flow together to the sea? A few more breaths as you slowly begin to reawaken the body. This is our sacral, our sacred space. Call it our womb space, our space of creation, whether it's a human creation, a baby, or any project in your life, whether you have a womb or not. This is the sacred space of creation in the body. It's in the lower abdomen, the genitals, the womb. Here we have the element of water. Svadhisthana means sweetness. And this is such a sacred space. It's where our desires come from. It's where pleasure comes in, its sexuality, its procreation. It's where we feel our feelings. The corresponding verb is I feel. The sense associated is taste, and the color is orange. You could think about a sweet, juicy orange and all the pleasure it brings to you in this space. The vowel sound is oo, and the seed sound is vam. associated with the moon, with flow. There are 6 petals in the lotus for the sacral chakra. So yes, this is here the space where we move from unity and the first root chakra, the groundedness, the stillness, the solidity, and we move from unity into duality. The single point becomes aligned. So entering a different dimension. We started with just one, and just like in the beginning of the beginning of creation, the beginning of our time as we know it, we become aware of ourselves, and now there are 2. So we have gained more freedom with this duality, but we also have gained more complexity. We see this in babies, as they begin to talk and walk and they turn into toddlers and everything is mine and me and I, and they're aware of their ego. They've suddenly emerged in identity, and separation from the mother occurred, or the caretaker. They realize they're separate from their source. And this brings up so much for them. And it's, yeah, as a mother of 4, having this perspective helped me to maintain kind of a sense of a compassionate perspective. It's not really the terrible 2s or 3s, it's just them coming into themselves. But don't get me started on child development. That's where I lived for years in university and in the living room. So yeah, there's this separation that occurs here. A duality emerges in the second chakra, and as one multiplies itself, it becomes 2. So this is the area of change. We see change here, all things to do with change. Change sometimes feels scary to us, right? We often avoid change as humans. We think we're safe. But change is a fundamental element of consciousness, and without it, everything becomes dull. There's no growth. Consciousness thrives on change, and change is stimulated by this dance of these polarities. So this is where the concept of yin and yang originates, from the I Ching, from Chinese philosophy. Good and bad, yes and no, all of the polarities, all of the duality, the illusion of duality that we encounter in this life comes from this space. Movement's really important for the second chakra, to move things through, like water flowing, still water. We don't necessarily want still water. We want it to be flowing. So the first chakra was all about stillness, right? We talked about the muddy water becoming still. So we had to get it still enough to see. It was all about, holding on and firmness and structure and forming up. Could be like the affirmation for the first chakra, like forming up, building oneself up into the body. Whereas with the second chakra, maybe an affirmation would be more about let go, create, flow, let go and create flow. Yeah, and this is where we, here's a picture of yin and yang, like I was talking about. I don't know if I showed you the first chakra of this, but this is where it's located, and there's the nerve ganglia corresponding. Passion. Passion, it lives here. We may affirm absolutely that nothing great in the world has been accomplished without passion. It's a quote from George Wilhelm. So this is often called the seat of life, and it, oh, 1 second.
Why are you coming out so fast?
I'm recording a video. Do not come over here. No, I don't know where they are. Okay. So this is where our passion lives. And The second chakra, Swadhisthana, is often called the seat of life. Our sciatic nerve hooks in here in the center, and in the center motion with the body. And I showed you the nerve ganglia here. So this is where everything happens, right? It's the center of the body. I mentioned Ida and Pingala flowing currents in the first video, the introduction, and this is where we'll come back to those. So there's that Ida and Pingala flowing up and down, the duality, the opposites, reigned by the right and left nostrils, by the way. We'll talk about that with the Nadi Shodhana breathing exercises, pranayama. So yeah, this is the area where all sexual desire lives. It's literally where we make babies, right? It's the powerhouse. This is the place of creation. So if you'd like, I invite you to place a hand over this space and acknowledge this power that you hold within you, the power of creation. And you could keep your hands on the womb space as long as you'd like throughout this whole video. So, but before we even create, we desire. Desire is first. This is where desire lives as well. This is where desire is born. This is where we find desire. And I think that's such a special aspect of being human. And I think that this space is so special. From this fountain flows life. And we had to pass through the first chakra, through the fear levels, beyond their survival levels, into the creation level, reproduction, flow. It's a quote here on page 108. We often think that when we have completed our study of one, we know all about two, because two is one and one. We forget that we still have to make a study of and. So there's a lot happening here between the first and second chakra. We began our journey by moving down into stillness and solidity, gaining understanding of our bodies, grounding, associating with one. And now we're in a new dimension where one meets another and becomes two. So yeah, this is where we find pleasure, which pleasure is a two-edged sword because, yeah, it feels great, but also we have to be careful not to become excessively attached to pleasure because attachment leads to suffering. And so letting the pleasure come and go as it does. Sensation is really a valuable tool for us in our bodies. Ignoring sensations really cuts us off from feeling, from healing. So I invite you to welcome pleasure and sensation into your life, even into this very moment. What feels good for you right now? There's almost always something pleasurable happening. And where can you find a little bit more pleasure, a little bit more comfort in your seat, perhaps, just a little movement? There's so much pleasure all around us. So we find pleasure here, housed here, and also emotions. So emotions are all about movement, the Latin word, where we get the word emotions is to move. So we're moving out our emotions. Try not to repress any emotions that come up. Try to let them flow in the moment that they arise. If you feel sadness, let yourself feel sad. It usually passes within 3 minutes. So our emotions are housed here. And sexuality. I love how the author describes sexuality. Sexuality is a sacred ritual of union through the celebration of differences. So it's an expansive movement of life force. It's a dance that restores and renews and reproduces. Sexual experiences, some people say, lead us closer to enlightenment, and then other people use celibacy or restraint as a path for enlightenment. So there's just two sides to that, right? Some see it, abstaining or conserving that vital life force, opens up an energy flow up the sushumna to the pineal gland and kind of refuels your own system. There's a quote on page 131 by Ashley Montague on nurturance. So we're moving into nurturance, this concept of nurturing. To be tender, loving, and caring human beings must be tenderly loved and cared for in their earliest years, from the moment they are born. Yeah, this is so true. Just the simple act of touching a baby. Babies just crave that nurturing from their mothers in the early days. The early moments are so important in a baby's life. And my children always welcome hugs and goodnight cuddles, and we still crave those things as adults. It's important that we honor ourselves and our need for nurturance as adults. For some reason, we see that need in children, but we tend to lose it as adults. The acknowledgement that we have this need for nurturance. Hugs lower our blood pressure. They've done studies with lab rats, and they choose touch over food. Like, they give them two paths, and they choose touch over eating. I remember the first studio I practiced yoga at, they would end Shavasana. My teacher would end Shavasana with just a very simple shoulder adjustment, and she would just touch the shoulders and the head and the neck. And that just cued to me, okay, I can relax. It was like the reason I went to class, right? So nurturance is so important. And we'll finish up here with some yoga poses for the sacral chakra, integrating movement and good health here. So here we have, they call this goddess pose. I call it reclined butterfly. A pelvic rock, side to side or back and front. Hip circles, just moving your hips in a circle. Scissor kicks. And yeah, that's about it for chakra 2. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I'll see you next time for chakra 3.